Good afternoon, Muskegon. Hi, my name is Gregory T. Roberts. You know what time it is? It's torn into your show for news, information, and more. I'm your host. It's 23 degrees outside. Let me bring in uh, co-host, Pastor Melvin C. Burns. How you doing, sir?
Hey, my brother, I'm good. How are you this afternoon?
Good. A little hoarse as usual, but
Yes, sir.
the show will still go on.
All
I want
right.
to bring you on real quick to talk about two things, and then what we're going to talk about today, and you need to listen to the show or watch the show. If you'd like to be a part of the show, go to our feed, Facebook sites, 103.7 The Beat or M106, so you can ask questions. We're talking about guns today. But before I get to that, I just want to talk to you about two issues. People, before you open your big mouth and talk about any conversation about COVID and what it is and what it ain't. Today I was getting ready to pass Tombs, and there was another funeral. Um, and it may not even be connected. I got teary-eyed because more people are dying, and I'm getting more phone calls every day or every other day of someone dying. So keep your mouth quiet. If you do what mom taught you, if you can't say nothing good, don't say nothing at all. Please. Pastor Melvin, you want to touch that?
Brother, we talk about this almost every week, and, you know, I'm just going to echo what you say at this point. Gosh, um, we got to be conscious. You hate to repeat old tropes, but, we got to value every single day we have. Value the relationships, value the conversations, our elders, our children. We just got to add value and appreciate the value in this life that we get to live.
Well said. Also, I want to address this. People, stop, dig yourself out of that cave that you in and being on side as far as a Republican, a Democrat, Trump, Biden, whatever, and realize nothing is getting done in Washington. Absolutely nothing. And it could be because of the slim lead in the House and the 50-50 tie and the fact that Manchin won't change the filibuster, whatever. Here's the fact. People are hungry. People are hurting. We have one hospital right now. They never should have turned on Hackley. That's a whole nother show. But using tents to help people. Nothing is getting done in Washington. And you need to wake up and call whoever your congressperson is and say, stop the bickering, stop the fighting, get something done, because nothing is getting done. Pastor Melvin Burns, anything on that before we?
Hey, the idea in the vote, the idea is to negotiate, reach some consensus, not to sit there with a big no.
Well said again.
Yeah.
Okay, we're going to go on the topic of today's show. And Kairos. Kairos means a life-changing moment, something that changed your life. For instance, I'm a music connoisseur. I love all kinds of music. I perform all kinds of music, but somebody turned me on to something that I had never heard before. This band called Snarky Puppy. Look it up. They're great. But anyway, changed my life and the things that I listen to. I am no different with any subject. I am not the smartest man in the world. Um, and I am here to listen to people's thoughts and how they feel on different things. And this man I'm about to bring up has really enlightened me on the issue of guns in a different manner. Put your hands together, like my brother Fred Hammond would say, for Mr. Dar'i Hines. How you doing, sir?
Hey, I'm doing good. How about you guys?
Hey, doing good, Dar'i. Good to see you.
Hey, good to see you too. Good to see you too, city manager and pastor and friend and mentor and guy who used to thump my head when you was with my uncle. So
If you haven't figured out, I've known this young man a long time, and man, couldn't be more proud of him.
right.
Dar'i,
Yes.
would you tell people a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, very little.
I mean, yeah, you got a lot. You and I served as firefighters.
Yes.
You currently work
At Department of Corrections. Yes.
Department of Corrections.
Yes.
You have been in the community. You grew up in Muskegon Heights,
Yes.
and you love people. You do
I
love people.
do. I
You have
do.
a big heart for people.
I do.
Anything you want to add to that? Because it's a lot more.
Yeah, I can add that I had two loving, fantastic parents, and they instilled in not just me, but 8 others, some of which grew up with Pastor Melvin here, uh, what it is to live and love and do for others as well as you do for yourself. So I can't any compliment that you ever give me will be just a reflection of my upbringing from Cleophas and Pearl Hines. So they get all the credit. Them and God get all the credit from me.
Amen.
For me being who I am.
Now, people, I need you to share this on Facebook or call somebody, because we're going to talk about guns, not in the manner that we did before, because we had Professor Taki, another calls, to explain the Second Amendment. But we're going to sit down and just have a conversation that Dar'i has opened my eyes about guns in the state of the union, where we're at. Dar'i, it was one of those Kairos moments that I was talking about earlier, that you enlightened me about why it is so important for we as people to carry guns.
Yeah.
Why so?
Simply put, to protect yourself and those that you love. I know I want to come home to my family every night when I'm away from home. So the whole point of constitutional carry or Second Amendment carry or personal carry, whichever verbiage you want to use to describe it, the whole point of that is to, like I say, come home to your family. When you leave the sanctity of your home, the safety of your home, you want to be able to return just like you left, as well as your wife, as well as your children. Everyone needs to come home safely. And the best way of doing that, in my opinion, is just to be legally able to carry a firearm with you.
Now we've been taught, let the police handle things, and
Yeah.
don't worry about guns. Or one person has said, how do you store the guns safely? And there are a lot of questions and misinformation out there. So let's break it down one by one.
Yeah.
The biggest question, one question that I had, they want me to ask you was, with you having guns, are you worried about like children in the household and stuff?
No, I keep my guns locked up, and I'm at an age now where my daughter, she carries more than I do. So, and she'll be 23 here shortly. So we have no little children in the house, but in the event that there is, they're all locked up safely so that no one can access them but me or my daughter. So that's the main thing to do, is to know where they are at all times, how you have them, and how you have them stored. It's the same as having a pit bull or any other dangerous, what would be considered dangerous thing in your house. They want you to have it secure where no one gets hurt. And it's the same. It's no different with firearms. To know, first of all, to have knowledge of what it is that you have, know the destructive capability of it, like anything else. in your
Mm-hmm.
house, to be educated on it. And that way you know how to properly handle it and
Mm-hmm.
store it and use it.
Mm-hmm. And we've seen over the last year and this year an increase of guns purchased. Matter of fact, we've seen where you can't even get bullets. You can't even get bullets on
Absolutely.
layaway right now.
Absolutely.
And matter of fact, so
Yeah.
before we go on, uh, anybody that thinks about messing with Dar'i's daughter, don't do it. Don't don't go there. Don't go there. So Dar'i, listen.
Yes.
Again, you talked about your parents,
Yes.
with your upbringing and stuff like that.
Yes.
We as in our household, we're taught you, the no need of guns. They're not safe. You talked about being educated. Educate us about guns and about the reason why we should have them.
Um, all of our years, 20 plus years, both me and you have, working as firefighters, we were always trained to be prepared for what was coming, right? Be
Mm-hmm.
prepared for uh, anything that could happen and be best trained for it. And I believe that that's what we need to be when it comes to handling and carrying firearms, because you have a very that's a responsibility that should not ever be taken lightly.
Mm-hmm.
So that is why I carry. That is why I choose the firearms that I choose to carry. I have a
Mm-hmm.
reason why I carry, and I don't carry just one. So there's different ones that I carry for different occasions, and it's all based on my thought process and how I want to be out when I'm away from home.
Now you're not talking about. You're talking about doing it the correct way,
Yes,
educating,
yes,
getting your license.
yes.
Talk to us about that process.
Okay. Currently, as long as you are not a felon in the state of Michigan, you can go and get a CPL, which stands for uh, carrying pistol license, a concealed pistol license. It used to be, I'm dating myself as far as how long I've been carrying. It used to be called a CCW,
Okay.
which stood for carrying a concealed weapon.
Mm-hmm.
So license, but now it's a CPL, a concealed pistol license, because they had to clarify what was um, a deadly weapon if you were going to conceal it. You know, with a
Mm-hmm.
CCW, carrying a concealed weapon, that could be a knife. You're just concealing it, you see.
Mm-hmm.
So they
Right.
had to change the verbiage and all of that. So right now, as long as you're not a felon and you are of age, you're 21, you can go take the class. And then within a year of taking that class, you can go down and present your paperwork to the county, and you'll do a fingerprint and all of that, and you'll have your records sent in, and it's not that long for it to come back these days. So within a month, you can have it. It'll be shipped right to you, and it'll have a picture from you taking photos, official photos, and sending it to them. That picture will be right on it, so you carry that with you at all times, as well as the weapon that you have.
Okay. Okay. Now, with that said, we have some questions. The questions are starting already. Of course, from Texas, Michael Anthony Smith. Personally, home protection, hunting guns, fine, but M50s or AK-47s are not necessary. Your thoughts?
Well, if I'm going to, and thank you for that question. My philosophy, my Dar'i's philosophy is, if I'm going to be in a battle, I want the upper hand at all times, because I want to return home. Whether you use what people are calling assault rifles, which is an actual term, assault rifle, but that's a military term. The particular rifles that we are allowed to buy as citizens do not perform the same way those perform. Okay. So, but they looked upon, they are variants. So when you talk about an AK-47 or if you talk about an M16 or M4, what we are allowed to buy as citizens are variants. They are variants of those particular weapon systems. So the AK-47 that I own, it does not perform the same way as the ones that the military use. The AR-15 that I own, the few of them that I own, none of them perform like the militaries perform, and they've stepped that down. They've made it so that the government has made it so that we could not get those after a certain date.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why we have those and we're able to buy those. But if in this day and age, you won't have a one-on-one fight, unfortunately. In this day and age, it'll be multiple attackers coming at you. And I want to make sure that I have the advantage when it's coming to when it comes down to me saving my own life or those that I love. So, I mean, a bazooka. You know, I wish I could carry a cannon with me. but hey, I can't fit it in the car with me. I can't fit it in my truck. So I carry the next best thing, something that I feel gives me the capacity that I need to be able to, like I said, come back home. So, and it's our right to be able to carry it, given to us by the Constitution. So the caller from Texas with the question from Texas, it's amazing because you can do a whole lot in Texas. I would love to live in Texas with the relaxed laws they have down there. So
those relaxed laws are coming to Michigan, and am I correct?
I'm sorry.
I said some of those relaxed laws. Jack Page has wrote a thesis on what he wanted to say, but I'm just going to summarize it. Say nobody's family should go bankrupt or lose their home because of mass shooting events. Cost is pretty minimum when you look at the purchase and price of guns. And he has more to say. Jack, thank you for that thesis. Shorten your questions up, buddy. What do you think about like these people with this last? Because when you have the mass shootings, then gun legislation automatically comes up. When you look at that particular issue with the last school shooting, you have to go and look at what the parents did and how they set that kid up for a disaster.
Yes.
So let's talk about that because instantly people think about that, but in that particular, I did some study on that shooting when they bought that kid a gun. When that kid was already struggling mentally, he was already struggling mentally.
Yeah.
And the parents bought him gun. He says insurance against legal uses. Thanks, Jack. But let's talk about that because or in Las Vegas, do we need like bumper stocks to make guns shoot faster?
Well, their intended purpose is to do that. Their intended purpose of the bump stock and other devices like that you can enhance your weapon with. The purpose of those is to create a rapid fire or a faster rate of fire out of your weapon as best you can, still following the rules that the ATF has put in effect. So here's one thing that I learned. In all my years of working, and I'm not a psychologist or anything like that, but one thing that I have learned is that when a person, whoever it is, man, woman, child, when they want to commit harmful acts to anyone, they will find a way. I think a lot of times we focus on the weapon that they use at that particular time, as opposed to what created the atmosphere for them to feel the need to do anything like that to anybody.
Mm-hmm.
I was talking with a person on Facebook about 6 or 7 months ago, and their argument was we didn't need AR-15s. It was right after the Vegas shooting that happened, where the guy was firing into the crowd. And my statement was that the same thing could have happened had he used a handgun, a regular pistol. He didn't need an AR-15 to be able to do that. And the response was I had made their point by saying we didn't need AR-15. If you could do the same thing with a pistol, why need a bigger gun, a more powerful gun, a faster firing gun, a gun that can reach out and touch further? Mm-hmm. And my thing is, when you are always trying to argue against a point, let's get to the root of the problem.
Okay.
This country was started because Great Britain thought they had the upper hand on some colonies mm-hmm. that were undermanned to handle the British Empire, right? So had it not been for weapon improvisation, had it not been for being able to fight fire, with adequate fire, we wouldn't even be a nation right now. So mm-hmm. the very basis of us becoming a nation was founded upon using weapons that could protect ourselves and could give us a fair fighting chance. Now, anything you can take to use, you can use it for bad. This internet that we're talking on right now, and all of this, we're using this right now to have good, intelligent, healthy discussions. But somewhere, someone is using the internet for something that it wasn't intended for. They're using it for something bad. You see, yep. The very Bible that we read and that we study from and that we gather how to love from, mm-hmm. somewhere someone is taking a certain passage out of it and using it for bad. They're using it to throw hate. They're using it to do yep. all of that instead of its intended purpose. You see, so anything that we use, even though it wasn't intended for bad, it can be used for bad. And I think that's in the hands of the wrong person. Anything can be used as a weapon. Anything can be used to harm other people. So as far as the bump stocks, as far as the binary triggers, as far as all of these things that help us shoot better, they're just tools that we use to help us out, especially as we get older. I know my vision isn't what it once was. My reflexes are what they once were. So I need all the help that I need all the help that
I don't know if that's good or bad.
Pastor Melvin Burns.
I have a question for you, Dar'i.
Yes, sir.
A couple of things, but we talked about the process. Do you think the process that is now is okay? As somebody who's responsible, is it something you would like to see different in the process for people to obtain firearms?
I'm sorry, I was getting a bad connection there.
Oh, can you hear me now?
I can hear you.
Okay, I was saying, in your opinion, do you think, is there something you would want to see changed in the process to obtain firearms in Michigan?
Actually, no. I like the fact now because back when 20 years ago, when I first started, when I applied for my first license and started to carry, the process was a lot more stringent. It was harder then. Mm-hmm. The judges wanted 2 different occasions on record where someone either tried to attack you or did attack you. They wanted 2 separate occasions. And you went through this process and you had to meet certain criteria as a law-abiding citizen. So now is only thing you have to be is of age. And that falls back to how your parents raised you. Obviously, some 21-year-olds are not as mature as others, but you have to take the good with the bad. But I like the process. I like the process now, especially with so many women being attacked. We have to protect our women. And when we cannot protect our women, they need to be able to protect themselves. So I like the process now as far as if I could change anything, as long as we had proper procedures for vetting and for making sure that people were ready and responsible enough to carry firearms. If the military can recruit you at 18 and send you across the seas to die at 18, they'll teach you how to shoot. Why can't we have that here? Granted, the person is trained properly and do not have any mental issues that would and you can track all of that. You could study all of that, and like I said, you can do the right amount of background checks, psychological, emotional, all of those types of things.
So let me ask you,
Go
as
ahead.
a responsible owner, what are the things that you see other people do, if they're licensed or not, that you think give owners a bad name? You say, well, I would prefer they didn't do this or didn't do that. What are the kind of things you see?
As far as other licensed carry people?
Yes.
I really don't see things that because a lot of the people that I associate with, we all carry. We're all licensed carriers, and we're all safe. We're all those who have a lot to lose. And when you have a lot to lose, you tend to act accordingly. So I don't really see any problems. I actually don't even have a problem with the people that open carry. Sometimes, depending on what I'm wearing, something may print, but as you know, as a person who carries firearms, you tend to notice that about other people. You zero in, just like a handicapped person or a person with special needs like myself, physically. I notice if I'm limping, I notice when someone else is limping. You tend to notice certain things. So those of us that carry, we tend to notice how other people are carrying, and okay, they're doing it this way, or they're doing it that way. But you can open carry, and a lot of people I think are intimidated by that. But I actually like that, because the person is saying, "Hey, I have absolutely nothing to hide. I'm obviously a law-abiding citizen because I'm open. I'm openly carrying this weapon, and please leave me alone and let me go about my business." Right.
So if I, and I'm those people, I'm a little uncomfortable when I see people open carry.
Yes.
So what would you say to me? You said, well, Melvin, here's what I want you to know to make you feel more comfortable.
Yes, for them to go through the steps and to be comfortable enough to open carry, because they've made the decision to do it as well, right? And the reason that I don't do it is because of people like you say, like you're in your position. I don't want to have you taken back by it. I don't want to startle you in any way. So I don't open carry too often. It's usually got to be a special situation for me to do it. But for someone like you, meaning someone who sometimes may be a little uncomfortable with it, I say just think about that person is probably a person that will come to your aid. If you can think of it as, okay, this is a person, a law-abiding citizen who is willing to show, because what he's also doing is letting someone who may try to do something to him, he's also letting them know what he has. So So a person might say, okay, if I sneak up from behind or if I do anything like that, I'm taking away his advantage of concealed carry because he's showing me what he has. And so I think that just comes to being the more you expose yourself with firearms and practicing, becoming familiar with them, seeing what they're really about. And that takes away, it's like if you notice children, you can buy them a bunch of toys. What's the first thing they do? They come for something that you're holding that they don't know about, either your cell phone, your keys, or something like that. They want to know what it is that they don't know. If they're curious about it, right? And I think, but now if you give it to them, they'll play with it for a while, and then they go on about their business, right? So I think the more we're exposed to just firearms in general, the safety, how they function, how to operate them, and everything that comes along with it, the whole world that encompasses what it is to have a firearm and to be around it and a part of it. I think the more you expose yourself to it and the more comfortable you are with it, it takes away from that taboo. It takes away from that fear. It takes away from what you don't know and what you're uncomfortable with.
Okay, we're at the bottom of the hour. You're listening or watching Turn 2. We are talking about guns with
Yes, sir.
Mr. Dar'i Hines.
Yes.
Plethora of questions. Jay Driver, hey Jay, said, man, Texas is wild, wild west. Houston saw a spike in murders in 2021.
Yes.
In Texas, well, Michael's coming back, say, yes, I have all those weapons, but why are background checks so terrible? We need them. International person, Louis, how are you doing? And where are you at? I think you in South America. You better hope that person is friendly, 100, carrying that gun. And Louis, again, at least you can see it when somebody's carrying a gun. So I had to get all those questions in. So I think we can put it in this perspective of Pastor Burns. Let's look at the state of Illinois that has some of the strict is gun laws that you ever see. But you see the shootings happening in Chicago. But here's the problem. The criminals and people are bringing.
They don't follow the law.
The people that are following the laws are doing correct, but the people that are not doing the following are going to get the guns out of state and selling the guns to the criminals in state to make things bad. Dar'i, your opinion?
That is 100% correct. All gun laws, all they're doing is handcuffing law-abiding citizens, because a criminal or someone who will use it incorrectly, he's not following the laws anyway. He doesn't care that you have to go through this process, this process, this process. He doesn't care that there's laws on the books that say you can't do this, you can't do that, because he's not following them anyway. He's illegally carrying. So in cities like Chicago, where they have more gun murders with firearms than a lot of places, I think they lead. I think Chicago might be leading the nation, or they're always up there, real high as far as within the top 3 or 4 dangerous cities as far as firearms is concerned. You're absolutely right. You're telling law-abiding citizens, nope, you can't carry, you can't do this, you can't protect yourself. But the very person that's going to do something to you, he's not following that. He's not carrying. My aunt lives in a high-rise in Chicago, right around the corner from Sears Tower. And in her tower, there was an old lady, an elderly lady that lived on a certain floor. Another guy that lived in the same tower, but on a different floor, he was intoxicated one night. So he came to, let's say she lived in room 1014 and his room was 814. He thought he stopped and went to 814, his own apartment, but he was at 1014 where this elderly lady stayed and kicked in the door because his key wasn't working. So he forced himself into it. Now he realized, wait a minute, this isn't my apartment. And he was sober enough to leave, but she had no way of protecting herself from that because he lived in the same apartment complex as she did. So he was able to get through the security checks because he lived there as well. See? So, but her not even being able to have adequate protection for herself, potentially put her in a position to be harmed, to feel harmed. So we need those types of laws to protect us, because cops, the only thing that would have happened is probably, had he wanted to do something to her, hopefully someone else would have heard a commotion and then called 911 and then waited on response. By that time, the damage is done. I mean, once again, Greg, our rescues, 90% of a firefighter rescue, if we ever went down, was a self-rescue, right? We got ourselves out and others was there waiting to help finish. There was a thing where we had to maneuver, and it was a self-rescue. So we have to help ourselves first. And that's not to discredit or to throw any shade at any police or anything like that. It's just that they have to receive the call and then respond. But in the meantime, you're going through something. So we need more laws to help law-abiding citizens out, not laws that restrict us from doing what we need to do for ourselves.
Exactly. Someone using it with the wrong intention isn't going to matter. The new laws are coming out because the old ones didn't matter first. Thank you. Matter of fact, we got to get you on the show because you respond every week. She's on every week.
Good.
I want to talk about a little bit of what you just said because we had an incident. Now the police were there. We had a problem with a guy who came into our house intoxicated and high because he thought he was home.
Absolutely.
And he came into our house and we called the police. The police came. They got him out. The neighbors across the street knew him. They pulled him in the house, tried to contain him. But then while the police was there, here's my daughter and my wife screaming, he's back in the house again, because we had walked around the house to see if we could find him.
Yes.
And he walked back into the house. And those things happen. And when we called the police, the guy ended up going to jail. But when it came down to the court system, we didn't get a chance to even address the guy because the guy got a good lawyer and got totally out of the situation. Now, my thing is that what if this happens again, and what if that person would have had something and I have nothing to protect my family?
Yeah.
And so, Dar'i, you've taken me under your wing to educate me about this. How important is it for gun carriers to educate and inform people on why they should have guns?
The word you just used, education, to become knowledgeable about any and everything pertaining to guns and firearms. And it goes back to the Constitution. We have the right to bear arms. That's the Second Amendment. There was an amendment to the Constitution because it wasn't there originally. So they had to put it there because they saw a need for it. So as we educate one another as everyone, we all begin to be on the same page. You could be pro-gun, you could be anti-gun. As long as you are knowledgeable, as long as you have been educated on it, you make an educated and informed decision about how you choose to go. That's fine. I like when people say, I want to get educated on this. I want to get educated on that. I need to know this. Although I'm not an expert, I'm going to point you in the direction of those that I feel are experts and those who know a lot more than me. It's just, I have my philosophy on carrying, on how to protect myself, on how to protect those that I love. And I think that everyone should develop their own. Yours may not be what mine is. You may be a little bit tougher. You may be a little bit more relaxed, or you may be a little bit more militant. It depends on you, your family, what you and your wife and those that you love sit down and talk about and formulate as a plan, as an approach to everything. So we all need education on it. We all need to be informed on it.
I like the word that you just said, plan, and the questions are flying. Moraine and Jack are having a discussion now. Guys, keep bringing those questions up.
Absolutely.
Shorten them down because we only got 15 minutes left, and I ain't got time to read a dissertation. Okay, so just shorten the question down just a little bit, and we'll get your opinion on there. But thank you though for getting it out,
Hey, Dar'i.
Pastor Melvin Burns.
Yeah, let me ask you. Your daughter's a little bit older than mine, and my daughter and I have discussed. I told her when she moved out with me. I don't want to with firearm in my house, but I told her when she move out with me, she might get mad at me one day. But I told her when she moves out with me, I would like to see her, explore that.
Yeah.
Was your daughter always interested, or was it something that you brought her to where she was interested in owning?
My daughter, what I used to do is I used to make my firearms safe, and then I would put it in strategic places where I knew she would pass. And now keep in mind, she was 5 years old.
Uh-huh.
And so 4 or 5, something like that, 3, 4, or 5. And what she would do is she would come and she would say, Dad, come here. And she'd walk and she'd leave me, and then she'd stop and point at the gun as if to say, do something with that.
Okay.
And so then from that point, I knew, okay, she actually realizes this is something that has a potential to be dangerous.
Okay.
And from that, we built on that. So once she said, okay, Dad, I need to learn about this as far as handling it, as far as using it for myself, and then it being fun and becoming fun for her. That's when I said, okay, let's get you there. So it started right after her being a toddler. I started with her realizing that this is something that has a potential to be dangerous, and it should be handled by someone who is, in her eyes, I was the only one that in the house that was able to touch or handle it or play with it or use it. So from that point, I built on it. And so now when I come in, if I just went out and picked up another firearm, I say, oh, Dad, okay, you got another one. All right. So my favorite two handguns. One she took. She said, Dad, I just want this one. And she said she started carrying that one because it was so light. And then the next one that I had gotten that I had fell in love with, she had it one day and she was practicing with it. And she said, Dad, can I have this one? And I said, you know what? Go ahead. I had to go out and buy another identical gun to the one I just had so that she could have, because she's a licensed carrier too. So anybody that's a licensed carrier can use your firearm. So, so two of my guns she she more or less took, and I had to go out and buy them again. So, but it started young, and I let her come into it in her own time. So, like for your daughter, a gorgeous young lady. I see her pictures, and I even when our daughters were having swimming lessons together many years ago.
Yeah.
You know, she's grown into a fine young lady, and so I know you want her to be able to protect herself.
Yeah.
And as long as she has an interest, that means you can build upon it. It's not something that you're forcing on her. It's something that she is interested in, and as long as my daughter is interested in it, I pay for her training. So the next training that I'm gonna send her to will involve weapon retention.
Okay.
Should she have to use it, keeping someone from taking it away from her. Those are the types of things I'll pay for her to go to that before I'll pay for that class for myself. So because I want her ready, willing, and able at all times to protect herself, and not just her, but should I one day get a girlfriend and then get married, the same would go for her. When I'm not here with you guys, you protect yourself until I get back home, and then we are an army. So with your child, Greg, with your children or grandchildren, yeah, by all means, introduce them to the firearms. And I know a lot of preachers, they don't want to come off, you don't want to make it sound like God doesn't protect you in all situations. So a lot of preachers don't have firearms.
But a lot of them are carrying now.
But a lot of them are carrying now too.
A lot of hey, don't get it twisted. If you think you're gonna come into a church, a lot of guys are packing.
Oh, absolutely.
Let me say this. When I am with Dar'i and the guys, I feel like I'm so safe, and because all of them and they handle things responsible. They break things down to show me what they do, what they're carrying, the impact of it, how to break it down in case of emergency, how to use it. Here's the safety. And then here's the next step. I'm going to educate you, but I'm going to take you to the next step. I'm going to show you how to fire it. So I'm going to go out and do that with Dar'i. And then I'm not going to kid you. I'm going to get my license. Now, whether you want to test and see if I got one or not, that's on you.
First and foremost,
Dar'i, make sure you take
stuff like that.
Take him to a range so he can hit what he can.
That's like issuing a challenge to someone, so you don't want to do that. But,
okay, I'll take that back.
We're all laughing about it, but in all seriousness, a lot of times just those types of statements get misunderstood, misconstrued, even though you don't mean anything by it.
Nothing by it.
A lawyer, an attorney will take that and turn it against you. Prime example. Right now, I modify my firearms, but you can bedazzle them up. You can Gucci up a firearm just like anything else. You see people with Born to Kill and the Punisher emblems and all of that. They put them on their hand grips and all that. And we talk about that all the time in the 2A community. You mess around and have to use that gun, and then when they confiscate it, because that is what will happen. Should you have to use that firearm, they're going to take that firearm into custody, and they're going to examine it, and they're going to look at everything that was done to it. And if you got Born to Kill written down the side, or if you got that engraved in it, or if you got the Punisher and God's right hand, or you got all that on the gun, and you use that to shoot somebody. Now that's perfectly fine for in a glass case on display, because a gun is a tool. So you can spend as much on it as you can a paintbrush, as you can a car, as you can hair clippers as you can. The gold leaf Bibles, how the Bibles have the gold leaf on the end of the pages. You want that 24 karat gold? I mean, you can spend money on anything you want to, but just be aware of the consequences should something happen. So but I'm careful to say that because I never want someone who have had to defend their lives. First of all, that's going to change your life forever. Just the fact that you have to draw your weapon on someone and use it, that changes your life forever. Even though you
Forever.
are 100%, even though you are 100% in the right, it changes your life forever.
Yeah.
So, we train to hopefully never use it. I never want to kill anyone. I never want to take a life. I just want to be prepared at all times to defend my own and those that I love and those that love me.
Let me get these out. Eddie Spencer, great conversation. Let me get these in.
Yeah.
Marie, she said, God needs help sometimes.
That's my job.
She also said, yep. She said, Grandma always said, we believe in God and guns, and I can introduce you to both. And then she said, wait a minute. But seriously, though, she said, the mental and emotional side of it is overlooked.
Yes.
Thank you. All right, we have 6 minutes to break this down. What's the most important thing that you think, Dar'i, that we need to get out of this show when it comes down to guns? Because here's the fact. The fact is that everybody is packing or loading up. You can't find bullets. Citizens are concerned. What are some of the things that we should be looking at or doing?
More of what's happening. Due to COVID and due to the still current political environment, the political temperature is high right now. So people are still buying guns. People are still buying ammunition for them. The best thing to do, I think, is to get prepared and stay prepared. If you get ready, if you stay ready, you don't have to get ready. So firearm, anything to do with the firearms right now, industry right now, you're paying a premium, unfortunately. That's why they say when the shelves are stocked, that's when you buy. Because now, I mean, I used to shoot 9mm for 8 or 9 cents a round. Now it's upwards close to 50 cents a round. Wow. So per bullet. So in certain areas, if you can find it. So I think that we need to get ready and stay ready. Educate ourselves. It's not going anywhere. This particular climate that we're in right now isn't going anywhere. It's not going to get any better anytime soon. So for our loved ones, for our seniors, as well as middle age, as well as our youth, and properly training and education on firearms is the best way, because the best way to prevent a war is to be prepared for it. So if I think, two different people, if no one has the upper hand, they choose to usually go about their separate ways. So, you can't overemphasize it. I can't overemphasize that. Getting ready and staying ready. Educate ourselves on firearms, what they are, what they're capable of, and how to handle them safely. And that way we can move forward and we can feel a little bit better about ourselves.
2 minutes. What do we say to the kids, or the people that are carrying and they're doing it the wrong way, illegally?
You want me to say something, or the Reverend?
I want you to say something.
Immediately stop and get education on it. You can be properly educated as a teenager, and it's hunter safety. It's the hunter safety courses that used to be offered in school that they no longer offer. But that was the original use of a firearm was to be able to put food on your table and then to protect you and stuff like that. So learning that, okay, and learning respect for life, because without respect for life, you won't. It's like blowing into the wind. It won't help. We could talk all day and tell them you need to stop doing this, stop doing this, stop doing this, but why? What is the reason that you need to stop doing this? It's not right. So it's education coming from parents as far as respecting life, respecting authority,
Respecting life.
Yes.
And I think that education and letting kids know that, you carrying a gun and shooting at somebody trying to protect a street that you don't own makes no sense.
Absolutely none.
Listen, Dar'i, man, will you come back, because we got questions. We've had questions from, all over the country about this subject. Will you come back? You have a open invitation to come.
Hey man, you just let me know when. As long as I'm not on duty, I'll come talk to you.
Pastor Burns, any final saying?
Hey, Dar'i, it's good to see you, man. I appreciate the dialogue and discussion.
You as well.
I know if I need you, right around the corner.
Hey, get to the fort. Yeah, I tell people get to the sanctity of my house.
I know where to go.
Listen, I'll tell you what, if there's anything happening at my house, I'm going to Dar'i's house.
You give me the code now. You give me the code to get in. I want to come to the door and you ready. give me the password.
Yeah, that's safe word, huh?
Yes,
you better know the safe word if you're knocking at that door. But no, we're making fun of an issue that really needs to be looked at.
Yeah.
The education needs to be provided, and that's why we are here. Mr. Hines, thank you so much for coming on today. We're going to get you back on because the questions were filled. People, would you please share this, because it repeats back on WVS 103.7 The Beat on the Facebook site and M106. So it repeats. Start the conversation.
Absolutely.
Be able to listen without just calling somebody stupid. Just be willing to listen. And let me say this. Sow a seed of goodness in somebody's life. And be willing to listen, because you might just learn something. Thank you guys so much. We're out of time. That's Torn in Two for this week. A great topic with my brother Hines and Pastor Melvin Burns. I'm sorry for your loss, brother. You won't be here next week. But you guys take care. Have a good week. Take care and God bless.
All right.
Thank you. Thanks for having us, man. Love y'all.
Good seeing you.
Love you guys.
All right.
Bye.
The wait is over. The all-new Umoja Radio Network.